All right, let's talk about PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. Very common these days. Sadly, we're seeing it younger and younger in girls once they start their period. We're seeing it sometimes as young as 13, 14, 15. We're also seeing girls start their period as young as, 9 and 10. So a lot of hormone imbalances these days. And today I want to show you a Dutch test, see what we kind of generally see. There's multiple different patterns we can actually see with PCOS, how I would address PCOS, and the steps that we can take to do it, because it's not just about lowering androgen levels. So with PCOS, what we normally see is high levels of androgens, toxic levels of androgen metabolites, so how your body is breaking down your androgens, and which are male sex hormones. We're not supposed to have a lot of them as women. And we also see multiple, so multiple cysts, either on the ovaries, they can be in the uterus, fallopian tubes, all of those type issues. It can cause some really painful periods, a lot of cramping and heavy bleeding. So we want to, as always, take a whole body approach. Now, for the most part, it is normally always safe to start some type of androgen blocking herb. So saw palmetto is a big one, and you can basically use any of the ones that we would use in men, but in women. So saw palmetto, pygeum, nettle, pumpkin seed, all of those ones are going to work. I really like the product called Testaquench. So it is something that I use quite often, but there are more affordable options now. Has one called Prostate Pro. So anything that's talking about the prostate. But we really want to focus on the herbs themselves. You don't want to go and get a supplement that has all sorts of minerals and nutrients in it, because oftentimes the nutrients are in toxic forms. The minerals are all combined, and it's not meant for how the body is supposed to utilize and absorb them. So it just ends up becoming expensive pee and poop. So we want to customize our nutrients, but you can do like a herbal formula and you can add that in safely, as long as you're not allergic to one of the herbs in the formula. So when I'm working with a client that has PCOS, my steps are still the same. The only thing that would change is oftentimes I will stick in that herbal androgen support right away, because I know it's already there. Oftentimes they've already seen in blood work, or they've had past testing that is confirming the diagnosis of PCOS. So then we can safely add in the herbs. But we still want to start with our foundation. We want to get organic acids, we want to get blood work, and we want to get genetics. And why do we want to do that? Why don't we just work on the hormones? And the thing that's happening is your hormones are out of balance because your body has been under chronic stress from mental stress, toxins, pathogens, heavy metals. All of these things are causing dysfunction in your detoxification pathways, and your body is not prioritizing hormone function. Now, with PCOS, there definitely can be a genetic component. Some women are more genetically predisposed to having higher androgen levels. I am one of them. Thankfully, I figured that out quite early in my work doing this, so I'm able to really balance my hormones. But besides adding those supplements to reduce the androgen levels, which take time to work, it's not like a medication, it's not going to be a week. You're looking at a minimum of 3 months. And just taking that herbal supplement to lower your androgens is not enough. You need to work on the other things. You need to give your body tools to heal, because you are in fight or flight. You're running from a tiger. That could be a mental tiger, a toxic tiger, or a pathogen tiger, whatever it is, or a combination of all of them. Your body is under stress. In order to heal your hormones, you need to reduce the stress and you need to repair the body. So our foundation labs do that. Oats, genetics, blood work. I probably say that a million times. Start there. Get support on board. Neurotransmitters. Your brain needs to be balanced 100%. You've got to stop the fight or flight. So balance your brain. Work on your detox pathways, because that is the issue. Your body is not properly detoxifying your hormones. We'll see this on the Dutch test that I'm going to show you today. So, and I'm going to talk about the different patterns too that we see. But you're not detoxifying properly. That is so critical to work on all 3 phases of detoxification. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. There's a complete breakdown in my book, Heal Yourself. in the appendix. You'll learn in depth about which each of those phases do. So we're going to see that in these foundation labs. We're going to see how to repair the detox pathways. We're going to support the brain. Thyroid plays a big role. Oftentimes we do see hypothyroidism combined with this, sometimes Hashimoto's. It's, we can see a plethora of things going wrong in the body, not just one thing. It's not just PCOS. So there will be other dysfunction that's been happening first. And the body is just like, hey, we can't think about reproduction right now. And it just starts to go very haywire. So support the body, give the body tools to start to repair detox pathways and to start to repair. You need to heavily focus on your mitochondrial function because we are seeing massive dysfunction since COVID, massive mitochondrial dysfunction. And guess what? If you don't have ATP, which is your body's fuel, you're going to repair nothing. So, we need to do this pre-work before we even really start focusing on hormones. And then once you've got that foundation support on board, you've been working on it, you've got the herbal support on board for the high androgen levels, then it's time to run a Dutch. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you a typical pattern that we see. I didn't go and find all the patterns on various tests because it would take me forever to pull up all the different patterns, but I'll explain them to you as we go. Okay, how do I share my screen? And it's this one. Okay, so we are looking at a cycling female here. Now this is where it can get confusing for people because sometimes they just test free testosterone and it doesn't have to be high. So right now we're seeing, high progesterone levels and, that's not the end of the world. We want our progesterone levels to be higher. This is a little bit in excess. Estrogen levels are too high. So when we're looking at the Dutch test, a very simple way to understand this is a clock. I hope you can see my mouse. Look at this as a clock. And we want to be in between 10 and 2. For the most part, really optimal is going to be 12 and 2 for these hormone ranges. Now, this testosterone level looks really good. This is a common pattern that we see. But when we go to page 3, and we're going to totally disregard adrenal function right now because I actually have a whole video on it. It's called The Truth About Adrenal Fatigue, and it goes over the 4 basic adrenal patterns that we see on the Dutch test and what they mean. Disregard this. And we're going to really just be looking at DHEA and the 3 hormone markers here. So you kind of got to freeze frame that. We see DHEA is quite elevated. We see progesterone is elevated. We see estradiol is at the high end of range. Testosterone is fine, right? This person doesn't have PCOS. Well, this very high DHEA does indicate something, and people would say, oh, well, their estrogen is a little elevated for this time of their cycle. So we're always remembering we're testing on day 19 to 21 of a regular normal cycle. And if the person's cycle is not normal, then we are timing it for 7 days after ovulation. So we're running an ovulation test. We're finding the peak day, which happens about 1 to 2 days before ovulation. And then we're going to be adding 5 to 7 days past that so that we're getting the right day. We want to test, we should see progesterone higher than estrogen at this time. And for testosterone, this is actually a really great range for a female. But this DHEA is high. And then when we scroll down to page 3, this is where we see that PCOS. This is the androgen breakdown. Now, the androsterone, which is an alpha metabolite, is very toxic. And even though, hey, we're not seeing a lot of testosterone there, it's because it's being broken down really quickly and it's going down. Right now, the levels are high, both ends. So we're having a problem with androgens here. Now, it doesn't really matter that this is middle range. We need to address this. And that's where I would use herbal Testoquench. And really at these levels, we're going to need a little bit higher than normal dose. Now, as always, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose or treat disease. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to educate you and empower you about your health and get you getting the right labs, because that's key. If your practitioner is not running the right labs, find a practitioner that's going to run the right labs for you, because it's really, really critical. We also see that, hey, this is pretty decent estrogen metabolism. We want to see 80, 10, 10, and we see like 84, 4, 11. So this red is not good here. If this was really high, then we would also be having an estrogen detoxification pathway issue, but we're not. We're basically just seeing excess androgens, and progesterone is really good. Now, another pattern that we will see is people will present with this either low or high testosterone, whatever. We see those high testosterone metabolites. That's a really big indicator, or the really high testosterone. One of the two. That's indicating PCOS. Again, we can't diagnose it, only a doctor can. And you do normally end up having to have multiple cysts on your ovaries to confirm that diagnosis. But another pattern that we see is low progesterone. So oftentimes people assume that their progesterone is low with PCOS. It's not always. Sometimes it's very low. Sometimes we need to add in progesterone support. Sometimes we see really low estrogen. We can see really tanked female hormones and really elevated male hormones. Another common pattern. Sometimes we see excess of all three. So it's so key to get this Dutch test to see your pattern. And then from there, you can customize the herbs further, right? So if you've got the diagnosis of PCOS, you're safe to do the Testoquench or, the prostate supporting herbs, which is going to help the same way. We're basically blocking this testosterone pathway. We want it to move and free up these hormones to go where they need to go, which is to the female ones. Now, so you can safely do that, but don't play around with your progesterone or your estrogen. Don't assume your estrogen is high. I assumed I had high estrogen and I didn't, and significantly lowered my estrogen, taking a sulfur herb, a sulfur supplement that I shouldn't even take genetically. I'm not meant to take it. So I really screwed myself up. Not doing proper testing, but by just assuming I knew based on my symptoms. So we always want to check with the Dutch to see what's going on. And from there, we can really customize our herbs. Now, when we're talking about PCOS, again, that whole body approach is really needed. We want that focus on moving the body out of fight or flight, giving the body tools to heal so it can start to repair, really supporting mitochondria so the body has the energy to do it, and then heavy focus on the detoxification pathways. And you're going to really see that on your foundation labs. After you go through the process of getting the foundation labs, doing your Dutch, then that's where you start to really work on the phase 3 detox and getting the toxins out. That's going to be your best bet to address this and to start regulating your hormones, start to feel better, to start to cycle better. Now, a lot of times people think the emotional aspect that comes along with PCOS is all hormonal, and it's normally not. It's normally based on neurotransmitter changes. So your neurotransmitters actually fluctuate along with your hormones, and we can bypass that like right off the bat. Get those foundation labs, check your brain chemistry, and get the support on board. People are always like, oh, it's PCOS. I've got so much PMS. I've got so much mood swings. Like I'm ready to kill my partner. And, my kids are driving me insane. I'm so angry. I'm irritable. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. All of these things, we want to actually focus on neurotransmitters. So again, don't get stuck on the PCOS diagnosis. Yes, we want to support our hormones, but we also need to work on these other aspects of the body. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, leave me a comment, hit like and subscribe, and I'll post some more videos for you.